Alrighty, here's what a low-budget trip to Six Flags Fiesta Texas looks like from Utah all the way to Dallas. So we originally planned this trip about a month earlier, and my brother and we decided we're going to drive down to Vegas for cheap flights, and we were about 2 hours down the road when we got notifications that because of the big winter freeze, everything was going to be closed. So we had to turn around and just make a fun weekend out of it, but we weren't able to go to Six Flags. We decided we were going to make it work, so we scheduled another trip, and this is what happened. We left around 6 p.m. on a Thursday night, driving from Utah Valley all the way down to St. George. So what are the odds? But we ended up getting caught in one of the only snowstorms in this year's winter of Utah. So because of that, we didn't get to our friend's house until about 3 a.m. And then we slept on his floor around 3 a.m. in St. George, and then woke up around 8 and hopped on the road. And you know, St. George is awesome. They have tons of red rock, and the canyon's really pretty driving towards Las Vegas. And then before we got to the airport, we obviously had to make a stop at Sam's Club to get some of their cheap food from their cafe, and parked in a parking garage at a casino, and then took a bus a few stops to the airport, and then took the airport tram to our gate, and then we boarded our Frontier flight, and then once we landed in Dallas, took a tram to our rental car area, and then picked up our car from the garage and got on our way. As we were on the way to stay with some family in Dallas, we saw off the side of the freeway Six Flags over Texas. I think it was Titan. You could see pretty easily. So we drove up to it, and as you're driving up, you could see Joker just from the road. And then as you drive around the other side, we saw Judge Roy Scream on the side, which looked awesome. And then we parked and walked into the back parking lot to get a closer look at the Tormenta ride construction.
Here is the one and only Tormenta Rampaging Run, world's tallest dive coaster. Vertical drop has been installed, and the world's tallest Immelman loop right there. I think it's about 216 feet. Oh, and they already got the second loops and everything there. Man, they're ready to go. And Titan looking classy as ever. Building excitement for 2026. What's the excitement? That's the excitement. Tormenta Rampaging Run. Here we got a piece on the floor. We got the brake run is installed from the brake run to the end, and it looks like we're just missing from the end of that half loop over to this ending, and I think it's gonna pass over this drop. It's looking pretty epic. Here is the Grand Tormenta and its Grand Immelman Loop and the Grand Golf Cart. That's the trains. Just kidding. And look, there's our old buddy Titan over there. We got some tractors, and I don't even know what I'm recording. Oh, there's a parking spot and Tormenta.
After that, we headed back on the freeway to stay with family just outside of Dallas. Got there in the night, had a good time talking, and then on the next morning, we left on our way around 4 a.m. So we stopped at Schlitterbahn, which was on the way from Dallas down to San Antonio. And apparently Schlitterbahn is like the world's best water park, but there's not much to see from the outside. I think it's because they use the landscape pretty well, so it doesn't have a great skyline. And then we obviously had to make a stop at Buc-ee's because we'd never been, and everyone who knew we were going to Texas told us we had to go to Buc-ee's. And then we finally made it to Fiesta Texas after some breakfast. They were really nice. They helped us out. They heard we were coming, and they helped us out with free parking, a meal, and skip the line passes. I was surprised because I had like 3 subscribers at the time, but they were really nice about it. So the park wasn't completely open yet, but they had opened the line to Chupacabra, so we rode that, and you know, it's just like all the other Batman rides, but it's cool with a unique Mexican theme. And then we had an Iron Rattler to try and ride it, but that one was closed, so we rode Dr. Diabolical's Drop of Doom, which is their awesome new dive coaster with a great themed experience. And then we rode Roadrunner Express, which is one of my favorite family coasters of all time. And then we tried to ride Superman, but Superman was closed, and actually a lot of the rides were closed because of the wind, which is, I don't know if Fiesta Texas is more windy than other parks, but the wind affected a lot of rides. Luckily they were able to open up most of them though. Then I recorded my leg on accident a few times throughout the day. We rode on Joker's Pendulum, our Joker's Carnival of Chaos. And then we said, hey, let's go try and ride the Bugs Bunny log ride. Unfortunately, that was closed for the entire day, which made me really sad because it looked awesome. Get to go in a castle and everything. But then we went and rode Wonder Woman, and the ride operator at Wonder Woman told us that Batman had been closed for a few weeks actually, but she had just signed off on it to be open today, which was awesome timing. Went to Batman, it wasn't open yet, so we rode Poltergeist, which was one of my bucket list coasters, and it was amazing. And then we saw Batman was open, so we rode that one, and it was crazy and intense, more than I expected. And then when we were on the ride for that one, we saw that Superman was open, so we went and rode that one. And I think Superman is my new favorite B&M floorless coaster. And then we saw that Iron Rattler was open while we were on the chain lift of Superman, so we went and rode that one, which Iron Rattler is super awesome. That was also a bucket list roller coaster of mine. I love how they go up and down off that quarry. And then we rode Boomerang, which was just right next to it. And, it's fun. It's just your normal Boomerang ride. And then at that point, we had ridden basically every roller coaster in the park except Pandemonium, which unfortunately never opened the whole day because of the wind, which is a bummer. Most of the boardwalk rides didn't ever open. So we went and checked out the VIP lounge, which was, it was nice, air conditioning, and you got some water and a view, and it's just fun because it's like a part of the park you'd never know. And then we went and rode Scream. Got some food from Johnny Rockets, which is a really yummy burger. And then we went and participated in the parade, where they let us wear costumes and get a bunch of beads and just stand in one of the floats and just dance to the music and throw beads to little kids for like 30 minutes. It was really fun. And honestly, a pretty sweet experience that they just let anyone who wants to be a part of that. So we didn't have a lot of time after the parade was over, but we decided we were going to try and ride everything one more time. We were really tired at the end, but we were able to ride just about everything. We were able to get one more ride on Iron Rattler, Wonder Woman, Batman, Poltergeist, and Superman. With our last minute coming out of Joker, which was our second to last ride, we sprinted to get one last ride on the train. Which I felt kind of torn between riding a coaster and riding the train, but you thought, what other chance do you have to ride a train through a tunnel under a waterfall? So we obviously did that, and then we left the park after closing time. Overall, super awesome park. I'll probably talk about that in another time, but I love the way they ran this park. It's too bad stuff didn't open because of the wind, but most everything got running by the end of the day, and I really appreciate them for that. So we made the about 4.5 hour back to our family's house in Dallas and stayed the night with them, and then we flew and drove back. So overall, it was a trip that we left for on Thursday night and got back on Sunday night. It was in total 20 hours of driving because of the 6 hours to Vegas and 4 hours from Dallas to San Antonio. So that's 20 hours. So 20 hours of driving round trip, 5 hours of flying, and the park was open from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. So we were only in the park for 8 hours. So 25 hours of travel, at least, and 8 hours in the park. We spent about $96 per person on our flights round trip, and the rental car was about $115. We didn't pay to stay anywhere because we stayed with friends and family, and then we also paid some gas money, which wasn't too bad. We also, on top of the park, got to visit a friend in St. George, and I had never seen this place until then. And then we got to stay with family in Dallas, and I got to be at their house for the first time in 10 or 15 years. And I also got to hang out with my brother and do a memorable trip before I had a baby and before he got married, and life changes a lot. So 25 hours of travel for 8 hours in a park. Was it worth it? Yeah, definitely. I'm glad that we did something spontaneous, did a fun experience. Six Flags Fiesta Texas is a great destination. Maybe you don't want to travel as crazy or cheap like we did, but if you have the chance to go do something you like with someone you care about, do it.
Just do it!